Do you want a stronger, more connected marriage without having to schedule appointments, pay a hefty fee, or find a babysitter? Connected and Committed is a 6-week self-study course designed to help you break unhealthy cycles, communicate with clarity, rebuild trust, and reignite intimacy on your own. Each week, you will dive into 3 powerful recorded coaching sessions, practical exercises, and expert-backed strategies that create lasting change. Whether you're feeling disconnected or just want to deepen your bond, this course is going to guide you every single step of the way. Purchase grants you lifetime access and can be done with your spouse or on your own. Invest in your marriage today. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more. Welcome to the Married and Connected podcast. This is the podcast to hear authentic stories of marriages that have gone from ashes to excellence, a mixture of science and biblically based tips to improve your own marriage, and experts in fields that will help you navigate the good, the bad, and the in-between of marriage. I am your host for the show, Cameron Alaricki. I'm an Enneagram 2 with a 1 wing, a former public school teacher turned Gottman certified marriage coach, intentional about practicing in my own relationship what I'm preaching to you. I'm an avid self-improvement reader, passionate about homeschooling our 2 boys, a firm believer in Jesus, and that nothing will change you for the better more than traveling. That being said, this podcast is set up as if you and I were old friends, sitting together, drinking coffee, sharing all of our deepest secrets of marriage, life, kids, and the things that set our souls on fire. If improving your marriage, authenticity, and growth are your jam as much as they are mine, you're in the right place, and I couldn't be more excited to have you here. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Leave a review, and don't forget to share to your socials so that more people can better their marriage along with you. Thanks for listening, and let's jump into this week's episode. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Married and Connected podcast. And today we are going to tackle a topic that actually came from a listener's personal experience. And this is actually one that is very relatable to a lot of women. I hear this much more frequently than I would like to. And so we are going to just dive right in. A few weeks ago, I had a listener that sent me a message and said, Cam, I'm really struggling. I want to go on vacations. I want to go on girls' trips. I want to leave. But this past weekend, I went on a vacation that was a couple of days and I left my husband with our 2 children. And she said, when I came back, the house was a complete wreck. There were dishes everywhere. The kids were not taken care of well. And she said, I don't even feel like being able to go on vacation is even worth it. I don't feel like it's a vacation because then I know that I'm going to have to come home and take care of the whole house. And so this topic, unfortunately, is one that is so frequently, and it's that I want to break, but I can't trust my husband to care for the kids and the house. And if I do go, then I'm going to come home to double the work. If that hits close to home, stick with me. We are going to name what's happening, why it's straining marriages, and exactly how both partners can change it. This episode is honest, it is loving, it is practical, and I am going to try my best to hold your hand while I talk about all the different segments. So segment number 1, what is really going on? So let's define what is happening and also give some context. What I'm describing here has names in the literature, and it's becoming more and more of a buzzword. If you're looking up things on how to improve your relationships, how to improve your marriages on Instagram, you're going to see a lot more about the mental load, the invisible work of anticipating needs, of remembering schedules, of planning the meals, of cooking the meals, of going grocery shopping, tracking the supplies, arranging the childcare, managing social calendars, and noticing what's breaking down before it actually breaks. Okay, sociology and psychology researchers have documented this for decades. So think back like Arlie Hochschild's The Second Shift and more recent work on cognitive labor and anticipatory work. Zach Watson is a really good one to follow on Instagram because he talks about this all the time. And his research actually started when their first child was born and he was going through the 4th trimester with his wife. And like after that postpartum, looking around and having to do a lot more, he's like, wow, I didn't realize all of these things. And so he actually calls himself a recovering man-child because he felt like he was a man-child during this time of having to learn all of these things and not realizing it. It's actually from a show, and I can't even remember what show it's from, but there's this viral video short that's going around on social media that's talking about the husband is brushing his teeth, and he was like, wow, did you know that there's more soap? Did you know that there's more toothpaste? He's like, I don't understand it. Is there just a fairy that comes in and like reloads all of this stuff? Like, what's going on? Or no, he's in the shower saying all of this, and the wife is brushing her teeth, and she finishes and she's like, yep, I know. It's me. I'm the fairy. I'm the one that looks and says, does my husband have enough shampoo? Does my husband have enough soap? Do I have enough soap? Do the kids have enough soap? Are we almost out of toothpaste? These are all things that are encompassed when we say the mental load. Okay, so the default parent. A lot of men are getting really defensive when the default parent label is used. And it's not meant as a dig. It's meant as the default parent simply means who's the parent that gets called asking, hey, your kid is low on their lunch account. Can you refill it? Where are the soccer cleats? Oh man, I forgot my homework. Can you bring it up to the school? What's for dinner? Do they ask you as the dad those questions, or are they only asking your wife as the mom? That by default, that's how they become the default parent. Okay. Now let's talk about a couple of other terms that are going to be used as we're going through this. Weaponized incompetence is another one that is becoming more and more prevalent in the literature. And weaponized incompetence means that when one partner claims that they don't know how or does a task poorly, which then results in the other partner taking it back. So for example, the wife says, hey, can you clean the kitchen up tonight? I'm going to go take a hot bath. Yep, cool. Cabinets aren't wiped down. The dishwasher isn't loaded. The dishes are just thrown in the sink. And all of the food, instead of being put in Tupperware dishes and actually put away, is just shoved in the fridge in the pan that they were cooked in. That's not how your wife would do it. And you know that. So it's weaponized incompetence. This is a learned helplessness. All right. You have developed this helplessness because you have learned, oh, if I do a really crappy job here, then she's going to take it back and then I won't have to do it anymore. She's just going to stop asking me to do it. Another one would be loading the dishwasher. I actually just posted a reel on my Facebook group the other day that you've got this wife and she gets in the lawnmower and she's just going all over the yard. There's patches everywhere that are not mowed. There's no pattern to the mowing at all like that. And the text on the bottom is, my husband doesn't understand why there is an art to loading the dishwasher and the importance of that art. So I decided to show him the art of mowing and why it's important. So she just goes all over the place. And it's the same thing. You don't just mow your yard all willy-nilly. You don't load the dishwasher all willy-nilly or quote unquote clean the kitchen all willy-nilly either. And so a lot of times this weaponized incompetence is intentional and it is a learned pattern. Either way, even if it's not, it trains the couple into this unfair, unsustainable system. There's also maternal gatekeeping. So on the flip side to this, sometimes the more experienced parent overmanages and redoes tasks. Ugh, I hate the way you fold clothes, so I'm going to refold them. Or you refuse to tolerate a different but acceptable way. And that gatekeeping keeps the bar impossible and blocks shared ownership. I actually had a friend that texted me the other day and he was like, I need help. Do you have time to talk? And so I jumped on a call with him and I was like, what's up? And he's like, I don't understand as a man how I am ever supposed to do things quote unquote right in a relationship where the bar keeps moving, the target keeps moving. And I said, well, have you had a conversation about minimum standard of care? And he's like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about right now. And I was like, okay, so minimum standard of care. This is where you need to have a conversation as a couple. You need to sit down and say, my minimum standard of care in cleaning the kitchen. The dishes are loaded.
The things that need to be hand washed are washed and either put in the rack to dry, or they are dried with a hand towel and put back away. I want cabinets completely clear, wiped down, the floor is swept and possibly even mopped. I want food put in Tupperware dishes and organized neatly in the refrigerator. This is my minimum standard of care. Your minimum standard of care also might be, if I tell you to clean up the kitchen, just put the food away. Like, I don't care about the rest, just put the food away. So there's a minimum standard of care that each person is going to have differently. Whereas, like, for men, you might not have a minimum standard of care of what the kitchen being clean looks like, but you might have a minimum standard of care of how you take care of the cars and things in or maybe the garage. Or I know one big one growing up was minimum standard of care for tools. If you borrowed a tool of my dad's, you put it back the exact same way you found it. If it was clean when you borrowed it, it better be clean when you put it back. If you got a 3/8 wrench and you used that wrench, and it, even if you found it in the bottom of the toolbox, it better be hung up on the 3/8 hook. Like, put things back better than the way you found it, kind of situation. That was the minimum standard of care, and we knew it. So the bottom line here is, if she can't take a vacation without paying for it later, you have a system problem, not a her standards are too high problem. Okay. There also may be some character problems in there in terms of things like the entitlement that goes with, well, shouldn't you just thank me for taking care of the kids and go about your day? Why are you griping and complaining about the way that I did things when the kids are alive? Hello, like, just be grateful. No, they're your kids too. So you're not helping with that situation. You're actually doing what needs to be done as a team member of this household. Okay, so why does this matter? This is really important. A few data points that consistently show up across studies and time use research. In most dual earner households, women still perform most unpaid domestic and childcare labor. So we're going to break this down hourly. So statistically, even stay-at-home mothers, because stay-at-home mothers don't just work from 8 to 5 like the job does. They're still working round the clock, 24/7. Okay, so their quote unquote job, we're just going to say that every woman has a full-time job from 8 to 5, whether it be part-time work, full-time work, stay-at-home mom, either way, because then they come home, or then their partner comes home, and women are still doing an average of 19 hours per week of household and childcare chores, where men are only doing an average of 6 hours per week of household and child care chores. So this is why women are carrying the bigger cognitive and emotional load and reporting higher stress, lower relationship satisfaction, and a lower libido, gentlemen. This aligns with finding on desire dampened by chronic stress. So if you're not having sex in your marriage, this may be a really big reason why. And it requires a conversation. Hey, is this a thing with us? Is this what's happening? Is this why you're not attracted to me? Or why you're too tired for sex all the time? Or why you're constantly saying no when I'm initiating? Relationship researchers like Dr. John Gottman show that resentment and chronic emotional disconnection are very strong predictors of marital distress and eventual separation. Women have the ideology, and they're not wrong on this, of, well, if I'm going to be a single parent inside my marriage, I might as well just go ahead and be a single parent because I'm doing everything anyway. Burnout science from the APA and the WHO tell us that chronic overload leads to exhaustion, cynicism, and reduced efficacy, which is exactly the cocktail that kills intimacy and goodwill at home. So what does this translate to? It translates to the fact that this isn't just chores. It is mental health. It is marital health. It is sexual health, and it's emotional health. So what does this look like in real life? So just like the scenarios that I gave you at the beginning, this is the scenario that is, and the nuances are different, of course, from all of the different examples that I have gotten. But here's the basic synopsis. She leaves for a girls' weekend. And while she's away, routines slide, late bedtimes, junky meals, pizza, no vegetables whatsoever, no laundry is done, there's sticky floors. We are eating on the couch instead of the table, which is that minimum standard of care that we talked about. She returns to dishes everywhere, to the dogs having slept in the bed instead of on the floor, minimum standard of care. She returns to chaos and this mountain of ketchup. Or the flip side to this could possibly be she works her butt off for 2 or 3 days before she leaves so that she can leave, so that all of the chores are done, quote unquote, chores are done, so that she doesn't have to do it all when she comes back. Or option number 3 is she doesn't go at all, because every time she tries, she knows she's going to pay for it with 2 or 3 days of recovery work after she comes back. It's more mental load and emotional load to have to do that than it is to just say no. For men, what's happening is you're feeling judged. Well, I can't do it right anyway, so why do I even try? Why do I even bother? And you withdraw further. So she feels abandoned and becomes more controlling to prevent the disaster, and he withdraws further and imports even more of that weaponized incompetence so that he doesn't have to do it at all, or he feels unappreciated and disrespected, not realizing that he's disrespecting her. And then we're at an impasse. So over time, she burns out, he disengages, intimacy tanks, fights recycle, everybody loses. Everybody loses. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to give each of you a loving call out. Men, I am going to be lovingly direct with you. Just know that I love you so much. And I'm kind of going to kick your ass a little bit here. If your partner cannot leave without paying for it later, you have work to do. And you need to step up, starting now. Your wife needs to know that the family is stable without her micromanagement. If she feels like she has to micromanage you every step of the way, and that she can't just drop everything and leave and go spend time with her friends like you do on the golf course or at pickleball or on a trip, if she can't have the same freedoms that you have, she feels like your mother. And nobody wants to sleep with their mother or their children. Unless you're severely deranged. But that's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. If she feels like she can leave and the family is stable and she doesn't have to micromanage you, that's where emotional safety is created. And safety is the soil for desire. It is the compost. It is the difference between having a lawn that is lush and green and gorgeous, or having a letter sent to you by the HOA because your lawn is dead. Marriage is partnership. If you ever say the words, well, I'll help you if you just tell me what to do, that's not partnership. That's you making her your assistant. That's you using that weaponized incompetence. Look around. You live here too. You live here too. You know that the shoes on the floor don't go on the floor. They go in the shoe closet or wherever. You know that dirty dishes in the sink don't go there. You know that laundry on the floor doesn't go there. You can do laundry. You can do dishes. You can mop a floor. You can vacuum. You can help your kids by directing them on how to clean their rooms, even if they're 2 years old. If they're old enough to get it out, they're old enough to put it back. You can walk around the house. I actually did this with my husband one time. His crap was 97% of what was out and was causing my mental load. And so I handed him a laundry basket and I said, I want you to just walk around and pick everything that's yours up. Don't touch anything of anyone else's. Just pick your stuff up and put it in this basket. I want you to see how much stuff you leave lying around. His dishes, his uniform, all the things, everywhere. He was astounded. The laundry basket was overflowing in our 2-bedroom apartment at the time of what was just his. And here's the deal. Your kids learn love by how you shoulder the responsibility proactively, competently, and consistently. So here's what stepping up looks like. Ownership, not help. Accountability and partnership, not, well, you should give me the equivalency of the World Cup just for taking care of our kids this weekend. Do you thank her every day, every single day when you come home? Do you thank her for taking care of your kids? Do you thank her every time she makes you a meal or washes your laundry or folds it or puts it away? Do you thank her every time she does your dishes? Do you thank her every time she runs an errand for you or makes you a doctor's appointment? Probably not. So guess what? While it is nice to be thanked, if your motive is to take care of your children only so that you can be appreciated, your motive is selfish. You're not helping her. You're taking care of your children because they're your children. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to have ownership. I need you to have accountability. I also need you to choose an entire domain. We call them zones in our family. So one zone might be anything school related. Lunches made in the morning or making sure that the account has money in it, school forms, teacher correspondence, backpacks unloaded and reloaded, all the things. Okay, so that's a zone. Another zone is the kitchen. Another zone is the laundry, end to end, sorting, washing, drying, folding, putting it away, ironing if needed. And you run them without being asked. In our family, our children have zones too. So Mason's zone is the kitchen. I cook it, he cleans it up. He does the dishes, he does the trash, he sweeps the floors, he unloads the dishwasher. I will reload it most of the time because I like to clean as I cook, but he has to unload it. If he is asked, he's grounded. If I have to ask for him to do his chore, he's grounded for the day. Because that is teaching him responsibility. As a parent, it is my job to teach him how to be a contributing member of society, an adult. I do not want his wife having to ask him to help out around the house when he is older. Here's what stepping up also looks like. Competence building. Don't ask her for instructions. Google it. YouTube it. Ask a dad friend. Or just learn by doing it. Have that conversation about minimum standard of care. What does this look like to you? Watch her do it. Pay attention. Take notes if you need to. And then do it yourself. It also looks like proactivity. See it, solve it. That is masculinity in its most perfect form. Men who are great leaders do so by solving problems, by looking at things of like, okay, what could possibly go wrong and how do we prevent that before it actually happens? If you can spot a problem at work, honey, you can spot a problem at home. Consistency over heroics is another one. If there is one word that most of the couples struggle with that come to me, their word is consistency. Small daily reliability beats this occasional grand gesture every single time. It is the little things that make your marriage thrive. The effort has to meet that minimum standard of care. If it doesn't, your effort is not going to be recognized. Period, point blank, the end. Your effort is not going to be recognized if she still has to go back and fix things or change it and it's not done end to end on your own. Lastly, get rid of the weaponized incompetence. Get rid of the idea that your wife is the boss, that your wife is better than you. I know that's a filter that a lot of men have, that like, man, when I look at my wife, she's just so much better of a partner. She's so much better of a parent. She's so much better at doing X, Y, and Z. And you know what my 4-year-old has started telling me lately? Hey, do you know that if I practice, I get better? If my 4-year-old can understand that, you can understand it too. Practice being a better parent. Have a plan. Listen to podcasts on parenting. If you're always training for something. You're always training to be a better parent, to be a better partner, to be better at your career. If it is a place where you know you have a skills gap, what are you doing? What plan do you have in place that you are actually implementing that is making you better? Because sitting here saying, well, I'm just going to give this job to you because you're better at it than me, that's an excuse. It's an excuse. And you've got to do better, because you're actually, by avoiding what you're not great at right now, you're actually harming your wife and your marriage. Now, ladies, it's your turn in the hot seat. You have to release control without lowering your standards. I'm going to be very compassionate and very honest. To change a system, we have to change two people. And we are really, really good, ladies, at looking for what's not working. We are reading the books. We are listening to the podcasts. We are talking to our friends. We are talking to the experts. We are following them on Instagram. And also, we're looking at it from a lens of, what does my husband need to change? No. I want you to flip that. What do I need to change? How do I get better at this? Because we both have to change in our marriage in order for it to be better. It is not just a one-sided situation, I promise. I have never once, in the hundreds of couples that I have coached over the last 7 years, I have never once had a couple come to me and me be like, yep, that is 100% all the husband, or that is 100% all the wife. That's the problem. No, it is a very, very good mix of both that need to change and need to fix things and need to do better. So here's what you do. Here is your work. You define good enough together. You create that minimum standard of care over safety, hygiene, nutrition, school readiness. Past that, you allow different styles. Do the towels actually have to be folded into thirds, or can they be folded into quarters? If you don't want him folding your laundry, cool. Throw it in a basket, put it on the bed, but please fold the rest of the laundry. Stop redoing things. If he completes a task to the agreed good enough or hitting that minimum standard of care, please don't redo it. Redoing it is teaching him, don't bother. I'm just going to do it myself again anyways, and your time is wasted because you're an imbecile. It's shameful and it's judgmental. He is going to feel judged. His self-esteem is going to be wrecked single-handedly by you because you are inadvertently telling him, you're a moron. You can't do anything right. Hand over the full ownership. Not, can you take the kids to practice, but you own the after-school transportation Monday through Thursday this season. So that means, and guys, don't take it on if you can't fully execute it. Conception, planning, execution, CPE. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here pretty quick. But if you cannot handle the conception, the planning, and the execution, don't take that zone on. But don't expect her to take it on either. If she's already got her plate full and she's got 30 things on the list of things that she's doing and you've only got 18, hire that crap out. Figure it out. Because it's not fair for her to have a plate that has 68 things on it and you've got 12. That's where that 19 hours a week comes in, where you only have 6. Okay. Let natural consequences teach too, ladies. A friend of mine and I, we were just talking about this with our kids this morning. When her kids were little, one of her boys was really, really slow at getting out the door. And she would say, if you don't have your shoes on before we walk out the door in 5 minutes, you're just not going to have shoes. And so there were a lot of times where he would go to the store and just not have shoes. And of course, people are looking at her of like, you're the worst mom ever. You know your kid, you let your kids go into Walmart with no shoes on. And she's sitting here thinking, you don't even understand. You don't understand what I went through for 30 minutes before we walked out the door while everybody else was getting ready. And all he had to do was put shoes on, and he couldn't even do that. Your kid wears mismatched socks. Your kid wears mismatched socks. Cool. That's okay. A late library book costs $1. Great learning moment. Oh, buddy. Did I tell you to put your library book in your backpack last night? Yep. And now we owe $1. So you're going to work that off. Here's a rag. Go dust the baseboards. Go clean your bathroom. Go vacuum the entire house. Use scripts instead of sighs. Sighs and eye rolls are passive aggressive communication. I need you to be assertive. Hey, I really appreciate you owning dinners this week. If you need my input, ask by 10 a.m. After that, I'm out of it. Hey, I really appreciate you running the kids to school or running the kids to practice. If you know that you're going to be late, I need you to figure out an alternative plan that doesn't involve me at least 2 hours before you're supposed to pick up the kids. Otherwise, they're standing there not knowing what to do, and it scares them. There's no safety in that. Okay, here's the segment number 6, the system fix. All right, we're going to go from chaos to shared ownership. Here's a structure that works. I want you to think of each reoccurring responsibility as that CPE, that conception, planning, and execution. All right, now, this is what I give credit to all of the cognitive labor literature. Eve Radowski has 2 amazing books on this, Fair Play and The Unicorn Space. If you have not read those, highly, highly, highly recommend. Here's the deal. You're going to list every recurring task. And if you are listening to this and you are not a client of mine, we actually go through this. I will do a one-off session. Usually I don't do one-off coaching sessions for couples, but I will do a one-off session for this specifically. It's $120 for about a 90-minute session where we go through and I have cards that I will flip over and say, all right, who does this? Who does this? Who does this? You're going to assign full ownership of each task, one name only for all 3 phases. Conception, planning, and execution. And then you're going to set the minimum standards for each domain. Make them brief, make them measurable. Laundry, it is washed, dried, and put away by Sunday night at 5 p.m. Sports uniforms are ready the night before. Your meals, there is a protein and a vegetable every single night. We order out 2 times a week. School, the forms are signed within 24 hours of bringing them home, put back in the backpack, and turned in on time. Backpacks are prepped the night before. Every single week, you and your partner are going to sit down at the kitchen table and you are going to do a weekly marriage business meeting. If you would like I have created a form that is 1 page. You can literally put it in a sheet protector and hang it on the fridge, put it in a binder, whatever you want to do with it. But every single week, you're going to sit down with that page at the kitchen table and you and your partner are going to go over this. We're going to plan out weekly meals. We're going to plan out appointments, who's taking who, where, when. We're going to plan out any activities that we've got going on this week. We're going to share any information that needs to be shared between the other, but that both of us need to know. We're going to we're going to plan sex. If we're in a season where it's a complete dry spell and we just don't quote unquote have time for sex, we're going to plan it. We're going to schedule it. And we're going to treat it like a massive business meeting with friggin' Jeff Bezos or something. Now, at the beginning, this meeting is probably going to take you about 90 minutes. But as you get through and you have as you have the flow down, 30 minutes tops. And then you're going to end with appreciations. There's questions on there too. How are we doing? What's working? What's not? What's it like to be with me right now? Because let's be honest, sometimes those questions are hard and we aren't asking them and we're not talking about them because we're afraid of the answer. And at the same time, our partner needs to know that they're a real jackwagon lately and we're kind of getting tired of it. We're going to end with appreciations though. One thing you did last week that really made my life so much easier was I really appreciate how you handled fill in the blank. Solo parent practice. Here's what I want you to start trying and implementing in your marriage. Each partner does one planned solo day with the kids monthly. Or if you are in a season where we are, where both kids are in soccer, both kids are in school, both kids are doing all the things, every single day of the week is pretty much full. So you could do like one weekend every quarter. This is going to build competence and trust. So with that, that means that you take the kids for the weekend and you can go camping. You can go on a trip. You can stay home and they can leave. Your partner can leave. Whatever that looks like, you have the kids where you are connecting. That does not mean that you are on your phone the entire weekend. It does not mean that you can, send your wife away and then have your mom come in and help you with the kids. No, this is what you are on your own for the entire weekend. Here's the other thing, the RVP, Real Vacation Protocol. Before she leaves, shared calendar updated. Kids' schedules are visible. Emergency contacts are figured out and put in your phone. Meal plan and a grocery order done. Not necessarily the meals made, but at least know what you're making. Do the regular marriage business meeting as if both of you were going to be there, and then execute that. House standards, laundry cadence. How many loads of laundry need to be done every day? Are there certain things that need to be washed because Monday has practice or games or whatever? And then tidy time blocks. We call it a room reset every night. Before we go to bed, before the kids even get baths, it's okay, reset the room. That means everything that is out, get it picked up, put away, so that it's less to do and we wake up to a clean house the next morning. Now, while she's gone, he runs the plan. He texts her updates only if necessary. You guys call every day. Let the kids talk. But also, there's no problem solving during those. The problem solving is locally. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to YouTube it. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to call another dad. I'm going to call my mom, figure that out, whatever. Now, calling your mom for help does not mean, hey, can you come over and do this for me? Can you come help me? No, your mom doesn't come to the rescue. She's not Superwoman. She's not the hero of this, all right? You are. You are the one that is going to handle this with guidance. Guidance is not the same thing as enabling. And then there is a reentry plan. So he schedules a cleaning reset or does it with the kids before she returns. And then she gets a buffer window to land. There's no recovery penalty. That means she's not doing this for 2 or 3 days after she gets back. If she needs to do her laundry from the time that she's been gone or what have you, cool. That's something different. But she should not handle your messes or have to take care of what you didn't when she was gone. Okay, here are some communication scripts so that you can start right away. For men, here's the ownership script for you. Hey, I see how much you carry, and I have been waiting for you to delegate, and that's on me. From this point on, I am owning school forms in the morning routine, conception, planning, and execution. So can we define what good enough looks like together? And if I mess up, I am going to fix this without defensiveness. Here is the biggest thing that we need to know. And then you're going to fix that. I will fix it without defensiveness because you deserve a real break. Now, here's a little bit about defensiveness. Defensiveness is the third horseman of the apocalypse. Everybody has defensiveness on certain scales. Men tend to have defensiveness on a grander scale than a woman does. Women can handle constructive criticism. We've been doing it since we were born. You have too many wrinkles. You don't dress right. You've gained 5 pounds. You need to lose 5 pounds. You've lost too much weight. You need to gain weight. You need to do your makeup different. You need your hair different. Society has criticized us to death. We can handle that. Men aren't. Men do not start listening until there's yelling involved, because that's what you grew up with coaches. Coaches yelled at you where coaches taught us as women. Coaches talked to us. Hey, you need to move your feet a little bit. You need to be here. You need to do there. For you, it was, no, why are you putting your feet there? Okay. There's a difference. Your wife should not have to start yelling, or on the flip side, completely shut down in order for you to be like, oh, I think there might be something wrong here. Defensiveness shows you where your idols are. Let me explain. If you get defensive because you have a secondary addiction to validation, because you have a secondary addiction to needing others' approval, because you need people to like you, because you need to look more intelligent than what you believe you are, because you need to look competent, or because you are a perfectionist and can never be human and mess up, those are your idols. And you are idolizing that more than you are appreciating and prioritizing your relationship. So, that being said, when you get defensive because your wife comes to you and says, hey, I'm really frustrated because I noticed these 3 things. Can we figure this out together? And you get defensive and you're like, what do you mean you noticed those 3 things? Oh, so I just shouldn't be around anymore? I shouldn't be here? I shouldn't do this? You don't like it when I do that? You don't appreciate my effort for this? No, that's not what I said. What I said was, I'm frustrated. What I said was, how can we figure this out as a team? Your defensiveness just showed you where you are more invested in yourself than in your relationship. You're more invested in your feelings and thoughts in that moment than you are in your partner's frustration. And that's not fair. Nor is it emotionally safe. Ladies, here is your script for releasing things. Hey, I really want us to be a team and not me directing and you assisting. Can we map tasks and assign full ownership? I will stop redoing if we agree on minimum standard of care. I also need 1 weekend next month where you run point, because I want to trust this system. Now, when resentment is too high with you guys, here is a repair script. I am resentful because I feel alone in this, and I want to repair that. Can we reset roles and try again with clear ownership and concise check-ins? If you are the emotionally unavailable, disengaged partner, you are going to own it out loud. I have been really passive at home, and that is not who I want to be. You're going to pick 2 domains and master them for 90 days. Track your progress, and don't make your partner manage you. If you have mastered those after 90 days, then add another zone and another zone or another domain. Okay? Learn the systems. Calendars, teacher emails, pediatrician portals, Instacart, car seats, bedtime routines, your children's favorite things. That's not another person's job. That's your job as a parent. Schedule the reoccurring tasks on your phone. Treat home like you do work. Deadlines, accountability, and put skin in the game. Take a Friday off for school stuff. Book the dentist. Plan the quarter sports registrations. And ask for feedback without defensiveness. Hey, babe, I really want to be a better partner. I really want to be a better parent. What is 1 tweak that would build your trust in me this week that I could start implementing right now? If you are carrying the lion's share, here is how you heal your resentment. You're going to name the wound, not just the tasks. Hey, I don't feel partnered. I feel alone. I feel like a single parent in our marriage. And that kills my desire and my joy. Stop the martyr spiral. Rest is not a reward. It is fuel. Schedule your time off. It is part of the system. Here's the thing. When we look at the Jewish calendar and when we look at like clear back, biblically speaking, we go back to Genesis, God rested and then he created. And then he rested and then he created. And on the seventh day, he rested. The Jewish calendar started the evening before. So we're going to rest and then we're going to finish the workday. Then we're going to rest. Then we're going to finish the workday. The paganism has jacked up the calendar where we work. Oh, well, if you have time for 4 hours of sleep, then okay, cool. No, that is why we are the most unhealthy society in the world. Spain takes naps. Where do you think the word siesta came from? London, the English, things shut down at 4:00 so that you can have tea and rest and have a little bit of social time. Not the United States. No. Push through. Got to get that hustle and grind. And we are sick. Schedule your time off. It is part of the system. Micro delegations equal macro trust. You're going to start with 2 domains and celebrate that progress. You need therapeutic boundaries. Remember that a boundary does not require someone else to do something. So it says, I'm not going to do X anymore because it keeps us stuck. So let's assign it and agree on standards. And then I'm out. Nervous system care. Sleep, sunlight, movement, social time with friends. This makes letting go possible. Friends of the same sex. Because friends of the opposite sex, if you're doing anything alone together, that's a recipe for disaster. And again, a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. And then you're going to repair the story. It's called negative sentiment override. When you are constantly thinking, well, he never, and this doesn't work, and he doesn't do that, you're going to replace that with, we're building a new system together. We're doing this together. We are a partnership. We are a team. So that then you have positive sentiment override when things do happen. It's less taken out of the emotional bank account than it is if you have an already depleted bank account and you're trying to still withdraw from. Here are some common objectives. Let's keep it real. First one, well, she's just better at it. Yeah, that's because she's practiced. Competence is built, not freely given. Well, I don't do it her way. Great. Agree on an outcome, not a method. If kids are fed safe and on time, winning. Well, he won't do it unless I ask. Well, then we need some ownership, not some reminders. You're not his mother. Assign the domains and step back. And if your family fails a couple of times because of his lack of leadership, so be it. That's on him. Well, I tried and she redid it. Great. Revisit the standards and ask, what is the minimum viable done that we agreed on? Oh, see, I met that. So why are you redoing it? And then she needs to own that. Now, here is how this heals your marriage and why it's worth it. Trust rises when each partner can rely on the other without micromanagement. Resentment drops, goodwill returns. Desire increases when the mental load is shared because exhaustion is an anti-libido. Your kids benefit from seeing both parents as competent caregivers, and your partnership matures from parent and assistant into co-leaders of the home. So, here are your to-dos. Ready? If you are driving, please come back to this later. Don't try to make notes while you're driving. Make a task list. Assign the full ownership of the CPE to each task. One name: conception, planning, execution. Agree on what good enough means and write it down. Schedule a 20-minute weekly marriage business meeting. Book one solo parent practice day this month or one weekend for the quarter. If it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. Put a real vacation protocol in place for the next trip. And debrief monthly. What worked? What didn't? What do we need to tweak? What do we need to add? Men, stepping up at home isn't helping your wife. It's living your values. Ladies, releasing control isn't lowering the bar. It's choosing partnership over perfection. For both of you, systems are not sexy, but the space they create absolutely is. If you want help building this system for your marriage, that is exactly what we do in my coaching. We map the load, we reassign the ownership, we rebuild trust, we restore connection and friendship. If you are interested in that, shoot me an email at coaching@recognizingpotential.com or click the link in the show notes. Or you can even start with my self-paced course, Connected and Committed, and that link is in the show notes as well. If this episode helped you, share it with a couple that you love, rate and review the podcast. It helps people find this work. I am so proud of you for doing the hard, holy, and practical work of building a better marriage. And until next time, stay married and connected.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Married and Connected podcast. I appreciate you so much. And if you have not left a review, I would absolutely adore you if you would go leave a review. It's how my podcast grows and gets in front of other people. I want to take a moment to share an important disclaimer, not for you, but for my legal team. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Now, while I am a certified marriage coach, I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, or medical professional. The information, opinions, and advice shared here are based on my experience, research, and expertise, but they are not a substitute for professional mental health, legal, or medical advice. Every relationship is unique, and what works for one couple may not work for another. If you're facing serious relationship struggles, mental health concerns, or other challenges, I encourage you to seek the guidance of a qualified professional. And by listening to this podcast, you agree that I, Cameron Alaricki, the Recognizing Potential Coaching brand, or the Married and Connected podcast are not responsible for any decisions that you make based on the content shared here. Your relationship, your choices, and your outcomes are ultimately in your hands.